Well, good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to this morning's power session, and we're glad to have you there. I just want to put a shout out and a thank you to uh, Lisa at the Portsmouth Chamber. She's also my co-host today, and she's handling the door, letting people in, hopefully not having to throw anybody out. We also appreciate the fact that we have the Ashland Alliance helping us, promoting this as well. The Ohio University Southern and the Maysville Chamber of Commerce, they're all sponsors. And what sponsors do is they just promote the program, and they advertise it, and they invite people to come. So we're so thankful that we have that help. So today we're talking about creating organizational vision, and I think it's such an important issue that is so neglected in organizations. And I want to start the whole thought process this morning with a question. Would you follow somebody if you had no idea where they were going? It's kind of an obvious question, but think about how many people come to work every day or are part of an organization or a nonprofit or a church or anything, and they're not even sure the intention and where things are headed. And yet, as leaders, we have this expectation at times for people to just fall in line and follow us, but we really are not sure where we're going, or we may know where we're going, but we've not communicated that well. So today, the purpose of this is I want to give you some practical ways to start working on an organizational vision. Now, you may say, well, Dave, my role in the business is I'm not the head leader. I'm not the person that has the overall responsibility for this. But I do have a few people that report to me, or maybe I have my own small business and I have customers. So the principles here are the same, that if we want to have influence with other people and we want people to follow us and work with us as leaders, we need to know how to create organizational vision. This would also include creating vision for ourselves. So the principles here, there's going to be a lot of practicalities, somewhat applied to small business and small nonprofits, but the principles themselves, I think, are valid for all of us and will give us all some help. So let's get started here. This is me. I have this slide every time because I don't know about you, but when I'm on a program, I want to know who's talking to me. I've been married for 35 years to a wonderful woman, Connie. I am the granddaddy of all granddaddies. Just saw some of the grandchildren recently within the last few weeks. It was a joy and a delight. I love to play music on my keyboard. It's where I chill out, and it's just another activity that I do that I've loved to do most of my life. And I have a wonderful Tyros 5 keyboard by Yamaha. I'm the owner of my own company called Beam Business Services. I've been doing this work for the past 18 years. I'm a mentor, a trainer, a speaker, a coach. I'm also a biblical counselor. I have a real passion for that, to help people with their personal issues, marriage issues, addiction issues, depression issues. And I do that via our church, and have done that even longer than I've done the coaching. And the thing that ties that all together is I just have a passion to help other people. So I want to help you today. So let's rev it up here. Let's look at our rules of the game. We always start here, but I always like to take these rules and apply them to the subject at hand. So this first one is about an ownership mindset. We are all a leader in our own rights. If you're a leader of a business, this certainly, or a nonprofit, this certainly applies to you. But whatever realm of influence and leadership you have, I'm going to say owning it means you're going to respond. You're going to use your responsibility and you're going to communicate. You're first of all going to do the harder work of figuring out where am I going, and then communicating to the people that are following me, this is where we're going. Most thinking, intelligent people are not going to blindly just follow somebody because they like them. Before they get on that bus, they want to know where the bus is headed. When you just get on a plane and say, well, it doesn't matter where we're going. No, that makes no sense, to just expect blind people just to follow us without any thought or any questions. So as a responsible leader, we need to own the responsibility of clarifying where we're headed and communicating that effectively to our people. What that will result in is participation. When people are comfortable and they have a sense of where we're headed, then they're going to want to participate. If I am not sure what's going on, and it doesn't seem like the organization has a direction, and not sure what's going to happen in the future, then I am hesitant to participate 100%. So we want 100% participation as a rule of the game, and if we want to engender that in our folks, we need to give them a clear vision. I thought about this one, dropping the I know. That rule is, to get the most out of this presentation, we need to leave behind what we've known from the past and be curious. That's the principle. For this one, perhaps in your organization, you have seen failed attempts at doing mission statements, planning, goal setting, all the things that center around this idea of vision for the future. I'm going to challenge you this morning, if you have some baggage there, to drop it and just come in fresh with a blank piece of paper, a curious, open mind to say, maybe I can learn something new today and start over here, or a new beginning with creating organizational vision. If you have vision in your business and you have that stated, maybe it's time to revive it and refresh it and give it a prop up and put it back in front of your people. All of this is going to result in some fun. You know, employee retention right now is a big issue out there. Even getting people to come to work right now is a huge issue. Why would people want to work at your place of business or work in your nonprofit? That is a huge question. Certainly, people want to get paid, and they have to pay their bills and take care of their family. But I challenge organizations to be much, much better than that. And beyond those basic needs, to provide a wonderful, exciting, fun, glorious, enjoyable place to work, a happy work environment or culture. Can that be created in a business and an organization? Yes. Is it the commonplace thing? No. I'm going to mention this. I have a good friend that went out late one evening to get something to eat, and he was just going to have to grab some fast food, and he went to an Arby's in the area, and there was a little cardboard sign on the speaker that said, we had to close early. We don't have enough people here to work. So he said, gosh, I guess I have to go somewhere else. Went to Chick-fil-A, and they were lined up around the parking lot. Same environment, same area, same workforce, and these folks were loaded to the max, and just buzzy and business, and had plenty of people. In fact, they had so many people working there that when he got his drink, he spilled it in his car. Now, they didn't cause the spillage. He just took it and dropped it. They noticed that and had 2 people out there within minutes to help him clean that up, apologizing, even though they didn't cause the problem. Now, I'm just saying this. Chick-fil-A, as a franchise, whether you like their food or not, we're not talking about that. As an organization, they paint a picture for their people. They know where they're headed. They know their purpose. They know their mission. And because of that, they show up at work and they demonstrate that consistently. And I just hear that story over and over, and that's why I share it. I have no stock in Chick-fil-A, but I just think they are a great picture of an organization that gets this. So what are we going to do today? Let me give you the lay of the land for the rest of our session this morning. I'm going to be using the 8 questions that are posed by Gino Wickman, who is the author of a book called Traction. Gino is the creator of something called the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is just basically a system of how to operate a successful small business. And I love this book because it's simple, it's easy to apply, and it's very practical. This approach to visioneering today is going to be very practical. And Gino proposes 8 questions. I'm going to summarize those on this slide, and then we're going to slow it down and look at each one individually. So let's look at the 8 questions that you need to answer as a leader if you want to have a clear organizational vision. Here is the first one. What are your core values? A couple of months ago, we had a whole session on core values, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that this morning in a second. This is basically what are the non-negotiable important things in your business that define who you are. Second, what is your core focus? Who is it? What is your why? What is your purpose for being? Why does your organization exist? What is its function? Third, where are you headed? What are you aiming at? What are you shooting at? This is the big long-term picture. Gino picks out 10 years. That's a pretty good distance. I've heard this process done with 100 years. Where will this organization be in 100 years? That's a little crazy. It's fun to do. But I think 10 years is far enough out that we can say in a decade, where would you expect us to be? Where are we going? What is our marketing strategy? Marketing is just communication and education. How are we going to tell people about who we are, what we're focused on, and where we're headed, and how we can help them? Fifth, 3 years out, now we're going to get a little bit of a clearer picture. And this is a process when we go to this question number 5 of painting this vision, this picture. This is where the vision really starts to take clarity and real shape. And then we bring that into some practicalities. We have to take that 3-year picture and look at the 1-year plan, which is basically an outcome and a set of goals for one fiscal year, and then break that into quarterly pieces. Quarterly rocks, they're called. We'll talk when we get to that about why we call it a rock. So quarterly chunks of that 1-year plan. And then finally, what are our issues? Which is an interesting question in the vision piece. Why are issues important, or problems important to your vision? Well, here it is, folks. We're on a trip and we're headed somewhere, and things get in the way, and things slow us down, and things pull us off track. And if we've got a clear picture of where we're going, we also need to have a realistic picture of what's going to get in the way and what might cause problems getting there, and even what might be some other opportunities. And we put this in Gino's words on an issues list. And so it's also in our vision, we have to have clarity about what we need to address to make the vision come to pass. So there you have the 8 questions. At the end of today, I'm going to offer something. I'm going to offer a summary that I've written on Traction. If you don't want to buy the book right now or spend that much time reading a longer book, I've got about a 10-page summary. And I'm also going to provide something called the Vision Traction Organizer. Gino provides all this for free on his website, so I'm not giving away their material. And it is a 2-page system that answers these 8 questions. It's a template where you can plug the answers to these questions in, and will send all that out to you upon request. So let's jump into our 8 questions here. Let's go to the first question here. What are our core values? Here's a definition of core values. It's a small set of timeless guiding principles embraced by our organization. I call it the organization non-negotiables. I call it the organizational DNA. This answers the question, who are we? And who do we determine ourselves to be? and what is unacceptable for us not to be. This is more of a being than a doing. I look at it as a tree. It's our root. It's our cellular structure. I'm going to share a couple of set of core values from a couple organizations that I've coached to give you a sense of what those sound like. Job and Family Services in Scioto County, Tammy Moore down there, I've worked with her for about 2 years. And one of the things we did early in our coaching there is work on their core values. They came up with these 3. We've got a whole session on process and how to do that. But kind, professional, and hardworking. That is amazing. So simple. We are kind, always. We are professional, always. We are hardworking, always. A public agency where everybody agrees to and lives by hard work, professionalism, and kindness. Are they perfect at it? Absolutely not. Are they accountable to it? Yes. Are they getting buy-in and agreement on those right now? Are they working on that culture? Yes. This is the root of company culture. What are your core values? It is the foundation for everything, and it's certainly the foundation for the company vision because it describes who you are. One other company that I worked with, Infusion Solutions, I'm just going to read these off. These are their core values. They had a few more. Patient first. They're a pharmaceutical company, and they're saying the patient and what's in their interest is always primary, always. And then these core values: excellence, positivity, solidarity, loyalty, integrity, and respect. Those are team values. It's how they work together. It's how they choose to treat one another. And all of that is the foundation to a great vision, because it's where are we going, but who are we? Second question, what is our core focus? Here's a definition again for you. The core focus is the stated purpose, cause, or passion of our organization and where we excel. Simon Sinek has some wonderful YouTube videos. I would highly recommend you go watch those. He talks about people. It's why we do what we do. It's what we're passionate about. It's our reason for existing. It is our mission statement. We've heard a lot about mission statements through the years. I think they get a bit stale, a little bit wordsmithed, a little bit, just kind of on the wall. Nobody knows what they are. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about people knowing exactly who they are, their values, and what they're up to, their mission, their cause, their purpose, their passion. And again, another integral foundational piece to building a great vision. Who are we? And what is our purpose, our why? Why does our organization exist? What is our organization's niche? What does this mean? Well, if we look at this little Venn diagram, there are 3 things that really enter into an organization's niche. This comes from Jim Collins in his book Good to Great on the hedgehog concept. And what he says is great companies have decided a sweet spot where these three things happen. They know what they love to do, what they have a passion for. They know what they're the best in the world at, how nobody can do it quite like they do it. And they know the profit per something, the profit formula that makes them profitable. Now, you may be sitting out here today in a nonprofit and saying, well, I don't understand what that means. How can we fund in our budget and serve the people that we've been called to serve? That's how you would look at that. So there's a ratio there that if you look at your profit per certain activity, you do something that's within your passion and what you love to do, and you do it extraordinarily well, better than anyone else. When you find where those 3 things intersect, that is your core for focus, and that's your niche. And that really describes why you exist. Hope you're getting the sense for this. We now know who we are, and we know why we exist by answering those first two questions. Let's go on to the third one. What is our 10-year target? You know, it's crazy that we would, if we're going to go somewhere, we would figure out, before we're going to figure out how to get there, we'd figure out where we're going. And yet I see so many organizations that are just wandering around, not sure what's happening next, have no clarity on this. And if you're going to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow, you need to identify the target. What are we shooting for? Where do we want the organization to be in 10 years? Now, I get kickback from people on this. Oh, Dave, there's so much that changes in 10 years. There's no way you can know what that is. I agree. There's no way you can know what that is. There's so much outside our control that we can't really predict where we'll be in 10 years. However, why would we have a 10-year target if we can't really accurately predict it? Because we need to do some planning now. And what's that planning going to be based on? Hopefully, it's going to be based on who we are, what our mission is, and now where are we headed? It's a planning tool. We need to use our God-given ability to think and to dream and to look forward and to express our desires and say, where do we want to be in 10 years, ideally, and plan not from our past, not from just our experience, but plan from our created future. This is what the 10-year target is about, and it's a beautiful thing to do, to sit down with your leaders and your key people and say, where do we really want to be in 10 years? What do we want that to look like? If you're following me, once we have these first three questions answered, we can move on to this next one, which is a focus question. What is our marketing strategy? So now that we know who we are, what we're about, what our why is, and what we're up to, how are we going to communicate this to other people? How are we going to offer this to the people that we want to serve? The key to great marketing is focus. A laser sharp focus or filter for our sales and marketing effort. Again, if you're in a nonprofit, you're going to say, well, Dave, we don't really sell, but you do solicit the participation of people that need your services. And you do sell your business also, your organization, to people that you want to work with you. So this is the communication and the education that we put out there to enroll people into our organization, whether they be customers or employees. This is our message. Marketing is our communication and our message. And so what does it consist of? Well, folks, let's get real practical right now. I need a list. I need a list of the people I want to serve. I'm talking about a physical list. The demographics, psychographics, and geographics of those people. What physical area am I going to serve? Where do the people live that I'm going to serve? The psychographics, how do they think? There are people with a certain mindset, a certain desire, a certain way of thinking that we can really help. There's people that think another way that we really couldn't be that much help to. We're just defining who our target is, who our ideal set of people are. It doesn't mean we're not going to serve other people, but who is it that we're going after? Who's our ideal client? Who's our ideal employee? We target these things and we write them on a list. It's laser sharp focus. 3 uniques. Gino talks about here in your marketing strategy that if you define 3 things that you do different than other people. Now, if you pick one unique, there might be a few other people that do that. For example, maybe you've been in business for a real long time. Maybe you're a 3rd generation business. Well, there might be some other 3rd generation organizations that do something similar that have been around that long time, but there's others that haven't been around that long at all. So that's one differentiator, is the amount of time you've been in business. Maybe you just started the organization, you're fresh and new. That differentiates you from the old what you might call worn out businesses. But if you're hearing what I'm saying, if you come up with three uniques, three ways you're different than most other businesses, when you combine those, there's probably no other business or organization that defines you that way. You're looking for how am I different from everybody else? The fact is, when you're different, that makes you rare, which makes you more valuable. Then, what is the proven process you do to enroll clients, to enroll customers, to enroll people, to communicate to them, to come to you for help? How do you do that? That's a stepwise written process that you develop. And then if you want to, Gino says this one's optional, but what can you guarantee? That's so powerful in a message when you can look at people's frustrations, what they really want, and say, we can absolutely guarantee you'll have that. So if you just look at that, we're clear about who we're going to go after. We're clear about how we uniquely serve them. We have a proven process to communicate to them and move them from interest to actually working with us, and we can provide these guarantees. Now, that can be a formula that you also use to market to enroll great employees and great team members. So that's a powerful slide right there. But we need to move on. What's our next question? Notice the little palette at the bottom. What is our 3-year picture? Now that we know who we are, where we're going, what we do, who we want to serve, and how we're going to communicate to them, we need to look at a picture 3 years out. Now we're rolling up our sleeves. Now we're getting ready to go to work. And how do we go at this? Well, the definition of our 3-year picture, according to Gino, is this. It's a visual description of what our organization will look like in 3 short years from now. You all know how quickly 3 years goes. Get your leaders together in a room together and have them get their paintbrushes out, their mental paintbrushes, and use this amazing creative power they have in their brains and their minds, and picture, based on that foundation we just talked about, what do we want to see in 3 years? Select a future date and an annual revenue, or if you're a nonprofit, it might be the number of people you want to serve. Determine specific measurables to define the scope and size of where you want to be in 3 years. See, we're getting down to some objective specifics now at this point in the vision. And then create bullet points on what the organization will look like on that particular date. Pick a date 3 years out and start to visualize and describe what the business looks like. This truly is your vision right here. It's founded on those other answers to those other questions. And this really brings this first part of the VTO, that Vision Traction Organizer, to completion. We now have a beautiful 3-year shared picture of where we want to be in 3 years. Can you imagine your organization having that? Can you imagine talking about it? Can you imagine the excitement around it? That's what I want you to think about here for a moment. Now we're going to move to the other side, the practical side of setting a good, strong vision for an organization. And we're going to move into the 1-year plan. This is when we really get tough. This is when we really get serious. This is when we really roll up our sleeves and truly go to work. This defines what we have to get done this year. And Gino recommends just using your fiscal year. You can use a January to December, but basically once we paint this beautiful 3-year picture, we know who we are, what our mission is, why we exist, who we want to serve, where we're going, how we're going to communicate it. Now, to get that vision fulfilled or to move towards that picture in 3 years, what do we need to do this year? And we set our annual revenue, profit, and one measurable. The measurable can be something other than money that we want to look at in our organization to track our progress. It might be opening another location. It might be the number of people served. It might be even the number of employees we have. It just depends on how you want to measure that. That all needs to be determined based on your organization. Then identify 3 to 7, and I would tend to want to go more towards the 3 most important priorities that must be completed to stay on track toward the 3-year picture. Folks, this is rigorous, hard work. You have to really the difficulty in this is saying no. You have to say no to a lot of things so you can say yes to a few things. We have to figure out together as a team, what are those 3 to 7 priorities that will move us this year towards that 3-year picture. This becomes powerful, but it is difficult, and you have to be specific. I want 3 to 7 specific projects, priorities that we must get done this year to move toward that 3-year picture. Here's where people, when they get all fired up about this process and they start doing it, they want to have 15 or they want to have 20. That's ridiculous. It doesn't happen. It's weakness through dilution. You add too many things to this, you weaken it out, and it doesn't happen. We've all done it when we get excited and set too many goals. I'm saying go small. Less is more. Each priority must be specific, measurable, achievable, aligned, and budgeted. That means this is a practical 3. These are not things that are good ideas. These are not things that we're going to try to do. These are absolute commitments. Therefore, we need to count the cost. We need to know that we would reasonably be able to do these things. I'm going to use this term. I think we've seen it, most of us, SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented time frame. And now I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to talk about goal setting. Most of us hate it. Most of us endure it. Most of us say, oh, it's a good idea, but I don't really like it altogether. It's because you're not using the tool correctly. A goal is for planning. It's not for us to determine whether we're good or bad people. People use goals and they beat themselves up with them. Don't use a goal that way. Use a goal to plan your actions. Evaluate whether you're doing good things, right things, wholesome things, work-related things, practical things, the right things by day by day by day. I want to win every day. I don't want to wait for a year to pass before I win and I reach a goal. I want to win every day knowing that I'm taking the right actions every day to reach that goal. We could talk about exercise and weight loss. I'm eating the right number of calories. I'm exercising the right number of minutes. I'm walking the right number of miles. I'm doing my routine. I'm doing my habit. I'm being consistent. I'm staying on track. I know today that I'm in line to get to that 1 year specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented outcome. The time frame in this case is 1 year. I know exactly what I'm trying to get done this year. That's specific. I can objectively measure, I can actually measure how I'm making progress. And I also know that it's achievable. This is something that's reasonable. This is something that we are honest about as a team when we talk about it, and we believe in our goals. We don't just throw goals out every year to have goals. All that does is make people feel guilty and irresponsible and lacking integrity because they don't stay with the goal. It's like a New Year's resolution. I look at it and I get kind of giddy and excited for a few days, and then I forget about it and just keep on doing the same old thing. Folks, it's time to stop that foolishness. It's time to really get disciplined and serious and focused and really enjoying life and enjoying performance and enjoying the team. I'm telling you that goal setting can be amazingly fun and empowering when you do it well. When you misuse a goal, it can just beat you up and it makes you feel guilty. We don't want any of that crap. We really don't. We want to put all that stuff behind us and really find out how to use these tools correctly so they can empower our team and bring us together. So that's the 1 year plan. 3 to 7 most important priorities that are going to take us to that 3-year picture. Once you get those set, then every 90 days, you're going to do the rocks. The fact is, it's hard to focus on something for a whole year. So we need to chunk it down into 4 3-month, 90-day segments. So those 4 quarters, every quarter, we want to sit down and choose our rocks. This comes from Stephen Covey when he talks about putting the big rocks in first. When you fill a jar full of rocks, sand, gravel, and water, and you fill that jar to the top, and you pour all that stuff back out, and you got to get it back in the jar, what has to go in the jar first? Well, you have to put the big rocks in first or they won't fit. So the idea of rocks is this 90 days, what are the 3 to 5 most important things that I must accomplish to be on track for the 1-year goal? It's our top priorities for the coming quarter. Folks, it's about focus. If we go too far out, we can't stay focused. We have to bring it back to some shorter period of time, and 3 months is a good focus time. Every quarter, while considering the current 1-year plan, we're going to list everything we would like to get done within that quarter. Then we're going to take that so you're going to sit with your team and say, what's everything we need to do in this 90 days to work toward that 1-year set of goals? And you're going to write down way too much stuff, because that's how people are. And then we're going to use a process called keep, kill, and combine, and narrow all of that down to 3 to 7 specific achievable priorities to complete by the last day of the quarter. Now, I need to talk to you as a coach right now, and I need to tell you something. These have to be absolute. These have to be absolute commitments. These are do or die commitments. Therefore, we do not want too many. Most people, when they start this process, again, take on too many rocks. They get put too much on their plate and they can't eat it all. We want to take less. Less is more. Less is focused. Less is the few things that I can focus on that are most important that I can get done. If I can get those big rocks in the jar first, everything else will work and fill in. Everything else is bonus. But these are the things that I'm absolutely committing to every 90 days that are going to keep me on track towards the vision. I just want you just to appreciate the system. And then if you have questions, you want to see how to apply them to you, please give me a call. Love to help you out. Each rock must be owned by a member of the team. Each team member can have up to 7 rocks to their list for the quarter, but less is better than more. So each person on your leadership team will have up to 7 specific achievable priorities for that quarter. Are they doing other work other than those 7 things? Absolutely. There's all the day-to-day stuff that we have to get done. We're not talking about just making a list, a to-do list of all the stuff we have to do. We're talking about focused projects that will take us to that 1-year set of goals. And that is our first priority for the quarter. And then we do all of our other stuff and fill it in around those priorities. This is a whole shift of thinking. It's a whole shift of prioritization. It's a process to get a team on this page. But I tell you what, it's powerful, folks. It's powerful. You become proactive instead of reactive. Remember, these are non-negotiable commitments to complete. These are not just ideas. This is not just something we're going to try to focus on and work on. These are things that we're committing to completing for the quarter. So if I just have 1 rock as a leader, that's okay. If I've picked out the most important one or the most important 2, and I'm absolutely going to get those done, and we've taken the time to tie all those rocks to our 1-year, to our 3-year, to our 10-year, folks, now we're on the path. Now we're focused and we're saying no to a lot of other things so we can say yes to the best. That's what this process of visioning is about. It's getting everybody on the same page, seeing the same thing. Finally, we have to look at problems. Life has problems. Whenever you start to pursue something and go for something, you're going to have things that get in the way. You're going to have things that distract you. You're also going to have other potential things that come up that look really good. Every one of those would be considered in Gino's world and in this world of visioneering an issue. The obstacles, concerns, and opportunities we face in pursuit of our vision. The obstacles, concerns, and opportunities we face in pursuit of our vision. I like to look at it as a whoop. Now, this isn't in Gino's book. This is another guy I read and will follow that talks about whooping it up. We're going to whoop it up by identifying the specific obstacles, concerns that may hinder our achievement of the one-year plan, as well as opportunities that might help us achieve the one-year plan. In other words, they're the things we need to discuss and get clear on and identify, discuss, and find a resolution to or solve. So let's look at what this WHOOP is. I love this little acronym. We have our wish. That's our 10-year description, our 3-year picture, our 1-year goals. Those are our wishes. And even when we get out of that 1 year and those rocks, we're even talking about outcomes, defined outcomes. This issue piece is the obstacles. It's the second O of the WHOOP. What we need to do is regularly get together. In the traction world, it's once a week, and work a plan to overcome our obstacles. Folks, get the power of this. Once we determine what our wish and our outcome is, and we've defined what's in the way, if we remove what's in the way, we fulfill our plan. We fulfill where we're going. We fulfill our wish and our outcome if we get everything in the way out of the way. So what's preventing us or hindering us from getting where we want to go? And we need a plan to overcome that. And that becomes our strategy. That becomes our work together. That becomes the joy of the journey. That becomes what we do. And I just love this whole plan, these 8 questions that Gino proposes. And I encourage you to slow down as a leader and as a curious person that works in an organization and start to consider these questions, because they are transformational for organizations. So I want you to take a moment here and just jot some notes. What have you learned? And more importantly, what are you going to do as a result of this? What next steps are you going to take? I'm going to give you some suggestions on some things that you can do, but I want you just to review your notes and look at what you've thought about and what you've heard today, and think about some specific things you would want to do as a response to this. Let me give you some things that you can consider. I'm going to give you 3 great offers today. The first one is I'd be glad to send you a copy of these slides. They have all the questions on there and the PowerPoint slides that you've looked at. Be glad to email those to you if you ask for them. Second offer, I've got 2 related articles that I can send you free of charge upon request. I have taken Gino Wickman's Traction book and summarized it, because I know busy people don't always want to read the whole book. Maybe they need some inspiration to buy the book and read it. And if they see a 10-page summary that they can read in about 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, then they get inspired and they get the book. And they also get a good overview of the book and the system. And also with that system is a 2-page template of this vision process which Gino supplies free online, and I've got a copy of it, and I'll be glad to send that to you as well. All you need to do is ask about that. People ask me, Dave, are you committed to doing traction 100% with every organization? And the answer is no, I am not. I don't think that traction is the right tool for every situation. However, I do think it's a marvelous, wonderful toolbox, and I think it's worthy of your consideration. If any of these issues that we've talked about are there, or if you're helping people that have any of these situations and they're trying to create a vision and a team that works together, I think it's a wonderful toolbox. It's so easy to understand and it's so practical. So how do I start? Dave, okay, that sounds good. I'm interested. Read the summary. Read about the tools. Look at the template. You know, become a little kid again. Get curious. Start to read about these things and understand them. It all starts between our ears. I know we have to get into action and change something and do something about it, but it starts by a change of thinking. And that's where we have this. You can have Gino Wickman as your coach through these articles and through what he's written. It's just amazing the availability of information to us nowadays. We can have amazing coaching and information from so many different people. And I want to get you started there with those two offers. And then I have a third offer. You may want to take this to the next level and get some help from me. And I want to offer that first meeting with me for $99. My typical rate for a meeting, an hour and a half, is about $350. But I know people sometimes don't have that and they want to get started, or they at least want to have one conversation that can help them get some clarity around some of this, and I want to offer that for $99. So if you are watching this, even if you're watching it online later on and you're saying, I would like to get some personal help from Dave, send me an email and ask for that, specifically ask for that, and I'll be glad to do it. This is my email address, davebeam@mentordavebeam.com. mentordavebeam.com is a website that is full of articles, full of some links to other videos, like other programs like this, all free to you, all available to you. Folks, when you work with me, you have no excuse to fail. You have no excuse to fail because I provide these things to help people. So that's our program today. I'm going to just sit here for a minute and let that stay on the screen so you can write down the email address and request that. Excited about some more programs that we have coming back. Excited to get to know you. Excited to meet with you if I haven't talked to you lately. So there we go. And that is the end of our presentation today. So thank you very much.